What's up, guys? This is Tony over at Industrial Strength. We're going to go over a little demonstration for the kettlebell swing. Some common things that we see people that haven't had a lot of instruction, some common mistakes that they make with it that are hard to catch to the untrained eye. They look like they're doing it right. Even to their other training partners or classmates, it might look to be correct, but there's some subtle nuances to this that I want to talk about that is hopefully going to help everybody's kettlebell swing a little bit, help really incorporate a little more hip power into it, and take a little bit of the burden off of the lower back. So when we go into the kettlebell swing, I think a lot of people know that we want it to look like a hip hinge. So it shouldn't be a squat. We shouldn't see an excessive knee bend with it. It should be primarily a hip-driven movement. But a lot of people have trouble sitting back into their hips enough. And so what that would look like is a correct hip hinge for the swing is going to have my hips travel backwards pretty far behind me. Okay? And we have lots of drills that we do for this. We have, my favorite one is just getting somebody to stand about a foot away from a wall and try to reach and touch the wall with their butt by hinging backwards into it. But a problem I see that happens with a lot of people, especially as we add other elements like a kettlebell or just speed and resistance and fatigue and things like that, is they fold forward from the hips, still with the neutral spine, but they don't sit back into their hips a lot, which would look like this. So it still is sort of a hip hinge. They're just not sitting back into the hips. You can see the weight is a little bit more forward on the foot. The hips haven't traveled backwards behind the lifter very much. And that can put a little more fatigue into the lower back than we would like to see and make it hard to get the right amount of hip snap. So one exercise that I like to use to help people get the feel for why this is helpful is anchoring a band to a sturdy object and do a band pull through with it. So we're just going to stand over top of the band, step out a little bit to get tension in it, and the idea is I want to sit back so that the client can really feel how the tension dissipates as they sit back, and then come forward and snap the hips. This also trains them to keep their hands against their body all the way through the hip snap, as opposed to letting the hands come out early and standing up. Okay? So I like this drill because if I sit back like I should, I can really feel the band get lighter and have less tension. As opposed to if I just fold forward like this, the band hasn't really gotten any lighter. There's still about the same tension in it. And so it carries over very similar to the kettlebell swing, where if I absorb it by really sitting my hips back into it, I get to dissipate that force over bigger distance and over more muscle groups, and get to really use my hips to kind of slowly absorb it. And there's not kind of a jarring effect like there might be if I just fold forward and I haven't sat back into it at all. So it's a great way to teach people that have the basics of what a hip hinge should look like to understand that we really need to sit back and let your hips travel backwards with the kettlebell before snapping it and coming back forward again. So give it a shot, post on our Facebook wall, let us know what you think. Thanks.